with the counter punch. Killing him now with the counter punch.
From land across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe.
Our sports minister inspired Team Nigeria ahead of the Olympic Games. And coming in from the wall of tennis, it is semi-final stage at the Wimbledon. In football, Spanish youngster makes history in European football. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break.
Today, only on ATN.
It's Kingsley Manuel with me this hour.
Thank you very much for having me, sir. Very happy to be here.
Of course, as usual, we'll start from the local scene, and the sports minister, Senator John, has stated that Team Nigeria is primed for success ahead of the Olympic Games, and there will be no excuses.
Yeah, no excuse this time, because I think the sport minister has done a lot where Team Nigeria has a shabby preparation, but I think the sport minister has done everything, of course, within his ability to make sure that the federations that were representing Nigeria much already at this point. We understand that Team Nigeria will participate in 11 sports, and we have about
12 sports also.
12 sports, and
right.
we have about in sports that we can possibly churn out those medals. But for some federation that that I don't really have much hope on based on their level of preparation so far is one of them is the cycling federation. We haven't really had much in terms of their preparation, and now they're heading down to the Olympic. We just hope that they were able to give the best. Badminton federation is another federation I don't really have much hope, but I think with a couple of players down there, they can be able to give out their best. I think this time around, the athletes should be able to go down there and make the country proud. That's what the sport minister has said. We've seen their performance at the national trials. We also saw their performance at the African Championship in Cameroon. I think they had a very impressive performance. Some of the athletes are looking forward to getting something for us, especially the lady who is leading the team, talking about Toby Amoso. She's never won a gold medal at the Olympics. This is the time where she has to get something for herself. So kudos must be given to the sport minister, and as well as the different federation for making sure that they get themselves prepared. And for boxing federation, for the first time since 2016, Team Nigeria will be participating at the Olympics in boxing. And I think for me this time around, you take a look at the level of preparation. The athletes have no other choice than to make sure they bring back medals, not just medals, gold medals, to the country at the end of the day.
Well, talking about Team Nigeria, get about 12 sports for the able-bodied athletes, where the physically challenged, the participants proud every time they go in. They're into 4 sports, but can be sure of heavy medal returns on their return when they come back.
Yes, definitely. I think you talk about the Paralympians, they've always been the one, churning out medals whenever Team Nigeria gets to represent, of course, at the Olympic Games, and they've done it a couple of times. And I think for me, more support, of course, should also be given to them. Taking a look at how they've been able to, churn out medals, for the country at this point in time. We've always seen them, putting up that much prowess in the likes of weightlifting. Well, that's where, of course, they major much, and that's where they always get those medals from. And I think for me, taking a look at these four sports, and we believe at least we'll be able to have medals coming from those sports.
Talking about Team Nigeria getting set for the Olympic Games, which is just a few now. At that same ceremony, the sports minister did inform that President Bola Tinubu had made 100% approval of all that needed by these athletes that will represent Nigeria at the Olympic Games. This is cheering news because we don't want a situation where there will be hampered by either lack of funds or whatever. This time around, we understand the president had made 100% approval of all that was expected or asked for the athletes.
I think for me, you must also give kudos to the sport minister. He's been the one, of course, making sure that all is well for this athlete heading down to the Olympic Games, and he actually did everything in time to make sure that the funding is actually there for the athletes to go down. Nigeria has to make sure that they'll be able to make a mark at the Olympic Games.
Well, Nigeria definitely should be making a mark at the Olympic Games. After all, we have some of the leading stars in sports. Toby Amoso readily comes to mind, and you understand when you go there as a world champion. If you return as Olympic champion, that would be great for Toby Amoso and the other members of Team Nigeria. 4 sports in the Paralympic Games, and of course 12 in the Olympic Games proper, and you will see how many returns will be coming. We have over 80 athletes that will be representing or be part of Team Nigeria at the Olympic Games. We're talking about the Olympic Games. Table tennis, Kingsley, can we really make it? We understand the Table Tennis Federation is doing everything possible to ensure that they have a remarkable performance at the Games. Shegu Turiola and of course Funke Oshinaka, along with 3 other athletes who have all competed in 7 Olympic Games, definitely will be on showcase and giving support to the tennis players that will be going to the Olympic Games.
Yes, I think for me it's actually a good one. That Terola is actually the coach of the Table Tennis Federation at the moment.
Right.
Funke Oshinaka,
former. She's been to 7 Olympic Games.
Yeah, and I think for me, for them to actually put up that support will mean a whole lot, especially for the table tennis players that will be going down to the Olympics this time. The man, the man talking about Aruna Quadri, of course, is one of them. Efyongadem is one of them, and the likes of Fatima Bello as well. These are players that will be on showcase, of course, for Team Nigeria, and we're looking forward to see them making a mark this time around. We've always seen Aruna always carrying the shoulder for the Table Tennis Federation down here in Nigeria, but the likes of the other players, of course, should be able to see how to live up to expectation. And I think for me, with the support that they will be getting from the likes of Terola and as well Funke Oshinaka, it will go a long way. This is a time where we need these experienced players who have done it in the past. They have to come in now and be able to share their experience with the players on ground to make sure that, of course, they're able to go very far, at this time at the Olympic. Last time at the Olympic wasn't really an impressive performance for table tennis, for Nigeria. But I think with the likes of Funke Oshinaka, Terola coming up, to inspire them, I think they can possibly, be able to put up a very impressive performance. We understand the decline in table tennis in Nigeria. We understand there needs to be growth, there needs to be regeneration of players, but at this point in time is a crucial moment where they all have to come together, put their heads together, and see how they can make out something from this particular Olympic. Then they can come back home and see what they can do to make sure that the on-air talents, or possibly, of course, replace this name that are gradually warning out. Less
than 20 days to the Olympic Games, and actions and of course preparations are at feverish pitch for the respective countries going to the Olympic Games. It is the biggest sporting festival around the world, and we promise that I will follow it up for you on a daily basis leading up to the beginning, and of course for another final, because it's already into the semi-final after 3 hours 11 minutes on the court against his opponent Kingsley. It looks very hard one for there. We saw a 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 2-6, 6-3 win in at the courts there. What do you make of Akara's performances against his opponent?
I think for me, it was really an impressive, performance, of course, from Carlos Akara. Straight set victory, if you take a look at it.
Against Tommy
Paul, who actually won the Queen's Open before coming down to this particular Wimbledon. And don't forget, this same Tommy Paul was the one who took out, the British world #1 as well. So I think for me, Alcaraz is gradually getting back his mojo. If not, if he hasn't gotten back his mojo already, because I think for the past 2 Grand Slams now, we've seen him got into final. Last Grand Slam, which was the French Open, he won that one, and now he's in the semi-final of the Wimbledon. That's to show you high level of improvement, from Carlos Alcaraz. And I think for me, was really an impressive one against, Tommy Paul. Having to win all the sets, in that encounter shows that Alcaraz has a lot, of course, to put up at this particular tournament. He'll be facing the man Daniel Medvedev. That's going to be another interesting time, of course, to watch out for, because Daniel Medvedev actually hosted out in the world #1, Yannick Sinner, yesterday.
I didn't expect that one coming. World #1, Yannick Sinner playing so well, leading up to this quarterfinal fixture. But he seemed to have capitulated to the man from Russia.
Yes, and for me, I think inconsistency has started setting in for Yannick Sinner. We saw him at the French Open. He was able to get past, he was able to get down. Was it in the quarterfinal? I think
that was a 4-hour match,
yeah.
A 5-setter.
It was really an intense, game. But Medvedev, of course, was able to go through, in that particular one. And for me, I think Yannick Sinner should watch it, because you take a look at the way he has been playing now. In the French Open, that was how he was also hosted out as well. I think at the semi-final stage, and now at the Wimbledon as well, he's also been hosted, not making to the semi-final. So for me, I think Yannick Sinner should watch it. When you're a young star at this stage, you're supposed to be very much optimistic of churning out the results, winning games, and making sure that you grab the most Grand Slam, of course, you can get at this point in time. Not allowing, some setbacks such as this. So really a disappointing one for me, if you ask me, for Yannick Sinner. I expected him, of course, to have gone all the way down to the final, but it is what it is. But for Alcaraz and Daniel Medvedev, it's going to be another interesting side to watch out for. Don't forget to be a revenge mission for Daniel Medvedev against Alcaraz. So it promises
about football,
of football, especially the ongoing heroes at this point in time. Remember last time we saw the British player talking about Emma Raducanu showing her support as well for the Three Lions of England at the heroes, and as well we've also seen that affiliation between Carlos Alcaraz and the Spanish team. And of course, you take a look at what the Spanish team are doing in the European Championship. They are very, very lovely to watch, and that's why the man, of course, was so passionate to go support, his team. And for me, it's really an interesting one. Seeing tennis players, showing support for football is really an impressive. And I think for me, he also pick inspiration, because knowing that if he doesn't win, it might actually be a sad one. But I think getting that win and also getting down to the finals of the Heroes was really, of course, a lovely one, and I believe he actually slept well after the encounter.
Very well. You wonder whether he will have that kind of feeling against the man from Russia, Daniel Medvedev. These two have been, do I say, exciting. 3 Grand Slam for Carlos Alcaraz and 1 for Daniel Medvedev. He's never won at the Wimbledon. In fact, he's never been at the final.
Yeah, I think for me it's an opportunity for Daniel Medvedev, if only he can actually step up his game, because last time at the Wimbledon, talking about 2023, it was in the semi-final stage that he was also being hosted by Carlos Alcaraz. And this is another opportunity for him to get things done, for him to take up that revenge against Alcaraz. Can he do that? And that's the big question, this time. For Medvedev, a lot of expectation from him. Taking a look at, as it stands now, we can't really refer him as next gen, because I think he's gone past that era of how far the man will go. One thing about striking so far about his game is that he hasn't won any titles since the start of this season, and that's unlike Novak Djokovic on a very good season or on a very good day. Would this be his first title this season? We'll keep our fingers crossed and see.
Novak Djokovic, the one man who knows how to win at the Wimbledon, and so he's not a stranger there. He keeps struggling on. It's semi-final at the Wimbledon. He's not only the male that are at Wimbledon, the females are there as well. And there used to be a new name, just a new kid on the block. Dona Vekic from Croatia only yesterday reached the semi-finals of the Wimbledon for the very first time, Kingsley. And she took out a relatively unknown name, Lulu from New Zealand, of a major Grand Slam.
Impressive one for Dona Vekic, putting up that impressive performance. And she's actually ranked at 37 now in the world, and she wanted to take a rest, but coming down to the Wimbledon and getting down to the semi-final, I think it means a whole lot for her. She also took out one lady that was also putting up a fairy tale run in the tournament, talking about Lulu Son. I think It's also sad that Lulu couldn't get past her, in that one. But for Vekic, I think it's actually something huge for her, and I think this will possibly give her that huge level of confidence to see how she can possibly get down, maybe to the finals of this particular one. Down for Lulu, who was having a very tail run, I think for me it's so sad. She came out as a qualifier, and looking forward to see how she can get something huge for herself. Getting down to this stage of the competition for me, I think is a huge one for Lulu. It's so unfortunate that she couldn't maybe get down to the semi-final. But for Donna Vekic, I think this will be a motivation to her going forward.
Without world #1 female tennis player, talking about Iga Swiatek, a lot of people believe that it is a time for Elena Rybakina to make herself very strong. Being a former Wimbledon singles champion herself, she is into the semi-final as well later today.
She's the highest seeded player remaining at the tournament, at this point in time. So that gives her an edge, making sure that, she'll be able to get this particular one. All the big names are all dropped. Arina Sabalenka, we know she didn't even participate. Iga Swiatek, Ons Jabeur, Coco Gauff, you could mention them. Naomi Osaka, the big names are all dropped. So it's remaining only Elena Rybakina, and she'll be looking on the likes of, Dana Vekic, and the rest of them. So I think she has that opportunity. This is her time to be able to grab another Wimbledon Grand Slam. It doesn't have any excuse, because you take a look at the players around, where a lot of people were killed, and she was so emotional, of course, in that game. But she was still able to gather some courage to get a win in that encounter. But I'm not really seeing Victorina having that much tenacity or resilience to be able to go far. So for Elena Rybakina being the highest player remaining in the competition, I think I give her that edge to be able to maybe get down to the finals of this one.
And talking about the quarter-final pairing at the females, and hope that we'll see a very strong one at that for Rybakina. I want to see her perform. Like you heard there, she's a former champion, highest rank left at the competition. Ons Jabeur from Africa. What's her status now, Kingsley?
Ons Jabeur, I think for me, is actually sad. I think she was actually being ousted out, from the competition. And for me, it's another setback for Ons Jabeur.
She was at the final last year.
She was at the final last year, and now she's been ousted out. I think she didn't even get down to the quarterfinal. So sad. So sad of the performance this time around, of course, for Ons Jabeur. Everyone has been rooting and looking forward to see her maybe get a Grand Slam for herself. And then she suffered another setback this time. I think Ons Jabeur should watch it. She should go maybe take a time and see how bounce back strongly come the US Open. I think possibly might also be a time.
Why are we not having exciting young tennis players emerge, from Africa?
I think for me, it's all about the level at which long tennis down here is in Africa. Long tennis is not really giving much progress or much attention, if you ask me. I think we're talking about Ons Jabeur. I think for her to be able to get where she is today is as a result of self-determination. I don't think it's really as a result of her maybe the country.
We don't seem to be having
more table tennis down here in Africa. Even the other day, I think what's the name? Funka Ishonaika, of course. Was it I think
make their prize known ahead of the main draws itself. Beyond that, when we return from the break, we'll look at European Championship, where a Wizkid from Spain is making his mark in European football. Argentina is into the final of the Copa America. Lionel Messi trying to push his country to yet another title at the Copa America. When we return from a break, we'll let you know what is going on, especially in Texas, venue of one of the matches going on at the United States of America. We understand thunderstorm have destroyed the stadium to be used for the match. Well, in return, we'll give you details of this and many more. Stay with us.
Documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
the counter punch. Telling him not to counter punch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentary.
Nigeria is set, giving 100% approval from the President of Nigeria for all that is required to participate at the Olympic Games. And beyond that, we told you that Croatian has qualified for the semi-final of the Wimbledon, where we still have Carlos Alcaraz as well piling for yet another victory at the tennis championship. Let's bring you some football stories now, and we'll start on the local scene here, where Rangers International, one of the CAF Champions League entrants for next season, is getting prepared with a jumbo sum of 150 million naira prize money for winning the Premier League for 2023-2024 season. Kesley.
Yeah, for me, I think really an impressive one. Must give kudos to the league organizers on that. Benga Elegbeleye for being able, of course, to deliver once again. This is the second time they have actually lived up to expectation. We saw last time, of course, where Imba won it, they were able to dole out 100 million naira as prize money for Imba. This time they increased it to 150 million for Enugu Rangers. For Enugu Rangers, it's an opportunity for them to see how they can stage some less economic warriors, coming back from the Nigerian Premier Football a long time. From the NNL, I think after a very long time, it's a commendable one for them. They were able to get past Ambia Warriors in the Federation Cup finals, and coming up with that very huge amount of money, 50 million naira, though not a very big one for Eka as a team, as Economic Warriors, but you will see commendable, from the organizers of the President, Cup. I think for me, so for some years now, we've not seen a prize money being given, but this time I do able to represent
in the way of Rivers teams that have been victorious in the course of the season. Now let's stay away from that one and quickly bring you. It is transfer season here. The season is off and the players are moving, coaches are moving. Deputy Chita, one of the Rivers United players that made the mark in the just concluded season, is insisting that his days with Rivers United is over following the termination of his contract.
Yes.
Or is asking for a mutual termination of his contract.
Yeah, we heard he was actually being assaulted in one of the games last season by the secretary of the team. And with that particular gesture, the man is not happy, of course, to remain in the team, despite having Finidi George, being at the helm of affairs at this moment. According to what the sports commissioner said, Christopher Green, he said that the man actually, absconded from training and then went to put up a fake medical report just to put up a proof, at that, and that was his wrongdoing, and the secretary of the team was not happy with him. But due to the assault he had with the secretary, I think he said he's not going to take that and he wants a mutual termination.
I say mutual agreement comes out of that one. Still looking at players movement. Academy Warriors have 8 new signings ahead of their CAF Confederations Cup season.
Ahmed Aminu, they got the likes of Bila Yakubu. These players means a whole lot. When came from the Nigerian National League last season into the MPFL, most of them dropped, especially the likes of Heartland FC. We saw Sporting Lagos also being relegated. We saw Gombe United relegated. We hope that will not be the same for Academy Warriors, and it's good at this point in time that getting players to get themselves prepared for the coming season as well as the CAF Confederation Cup.
We'll talk about preparing for next season, including the ones going to the continent, Academy Warriors. We understand FIFA has not yet lifted a ban on registration.
Yes, the ban is still on, and that was due to a result of non-payment of player salary. He actually went out down there, and FIFA actually caught that and actually placed that ban, on them. And but this time they're actually putting up a report that their chances of signing players is not being hindered, at this point in time. We hope they don't actually conflict themselves. They should take things in the proper way so that they don't put themselves in a very bad situation at this point in time. And I think these are things that clubs in the state government who are handling this team to make sure that things are being done properly, to make sure that players are being paid, because it's not always very good news, seeing this kind of news coming from the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Talking about news coming from the Nigerian Premier League over the non-registration of Academy Warriors for the CAF Confederation, talking about them getting new players into their squad. I think this is where Maju Pini comes in. He is seeking re-election to FIFA Council, and his services will be needed to ensuring that Academy Warriors get new players registered ahead of the CAF Confederation Cup. Kingsley, President of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, is already giving support to Maju Pini to be re-elected into the FIFA Council.
I think for me, it's a good one. I will understand Amaju Pinnick, term president of the Nigerian Football Federation. During his time, I think we were able to experience a little bit of success, to say. And now he's in the FIFA Council, and he actually needs a re-election. I think for me, it's just good enough for we to give him that support. For we to have somebody down there, it speaks a lot of volume. Things can be, this time, if he eventually gets it, it will favor a Nigerian football. Remain as a coach and see how you can qualify. Had a very impressive performance, even in the quarterfinals game. Of course, we saw yesterday. I think the semi-final game we saw yesterday for me was really an impressive one for them. We must give kudos, to the young stars, of course, in the Spanish national team. Had a very impressive performance. Yami Lamar, one man, of course, that everyone, of course, is talking about this point in time. Put up, they can actually taking the team away from them. They are the favorites at the Heroes Championship this time around.
We saw Kylian Mbappe without a mask yesterday. A lot of people say his performance has been hampered by the mask. But he was without a mask yesterday. He could not just assist. He's the top scorer.
He's a top scorer as well. And for me, I think was not really a good tournament for Kylian Mbappe. We expected him, of course, to have shown much progress, in this particular tournament. Looking at the fact that he's one of the top players now in the world, signing for a team like Real Madrid, he was supposed to, of course, show more progress in this tournament, but we didn't see that for Kylian Mbappe. Maybe the national team, but I think this tournament, of course, we didn't really see a very huge one from him. I think also disappointing for
route at the airport, and definitely should be having the 17th birthday in the next few days. And let's look at the fixture for tonight. It will be England versus Holland. These two teams seem to be, let's say, getting it better